What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of 10K on the Bay, my journey to 10,000 live listings. Today, I have an awesome guest, Kevin. He's at the Clutch Swag on Instagram, and I reached out to him, hopefully to get him on my show to talk about building a sneaker business. You guys know before, like 10 years ago, when I started in the reselling community, I was in the Hypebeast scene. At that point, I had 1,100 pairs in stock, but it was super expensive and difficult, and I had financial backing at that point. But now, starting back over again, I'm going to get heavy into the shoe game again, once again, and I want to give Kevin a chance to introduce himself and let some people get into the chat. So go ahead.
As you should get back into the shoe game. So shoes are awesome. So I started doing shoes more of a way to kind of fuel my addiction. I love sneakers, and I just was buying so many different shoes all the time. I started seeing people buying tons of shoes while I was just trying to get one pair for myself to add to my collection. And I grew up with a single parent, so a pair I was cool with. And then I realized that, there was, a buddy of mine or somebody else that needed a shoe. So I would get two and I would help them out or whatever. And I realized, hey, there's money here. So I started building my collection, and then I went to buy my first house, and I had, I don't know, I had, a ton with, and I went to buy the house, and they were like, you don't have any credit. So they were So I was like, all right, what can I do with this money? So I started putting it into shoes, and slowly but surely I legally went into business almost a full year ago, and I started with, I don't know, $4,000, and I just continually have turned that over and over again. I work a full-time job, so I just buy a ton of shoes, list them, and then repeat, just wash and repeat. And it's, as you guys see from when I started on Instagram, I would post, one pair of shoes here or there. And now it's become, I probably have 3,000 to, I don't know, I would say plus 3,000, upwards of 3,000 in my collection, or not in my collection, but in my inventory right now.
That's insane. So do you just reinvest 100% of the profits and just live off of your regular income, or how are you doing it?
Yep. So I saved a ton of money. Like I said, I mean, I'm huge with Gary Vee and his philosophy of just eat shit. Just basically act as if you have nothing 24/7. I had saved a ton of money, and there was tons of people my age. I mean, I'm talking, I was 20. I'm trying to buy a house. Most people my age were trying to go out to the bar. So I wasn't with that. So I was working 80 hours, and I didn't do anything for about a year. And then when that year came through, I had money saved. I started, working harder. I realized that I could work a full-time job, and my shoe thing was fun. I was able to get excited about getting the product, and then get excited about making money on the product, which was even more fun. So I did that, and yeah, I just kept, I completely just reinvest all that money. I never have touched any of it. So I don't know how much it's up to now, but I mean, today, if anyone saw the Instagram post, I think I got 300 pairs in a U-Haul, and that cost me just about, I think it was $7,000 or $8,000. So I spent all that just today in about 3 or 4 hours. That's my regular pickup, and last week I did about the same amount.
Are you ungated in Amazon? Are you 100% eBay? How do you do it?
Yep, so that's a good question. So I get messages all the time about Amazon. I am not ungated. I never even knew Amazon was a thing until, getting on Instagram and seeing how many people are just blowing Amazon up. No, so I've never done anything on Amazon. I do everything 100% through eBay, and then obviously a couple of things through Instagram, but very small. But yeah, pretty much everything goes through eBay.
So you've been doing this for about a year, and now Nike is pretty difficult. It's gated for Amazon. Have you noticed the incline, or have you noticed prices starting to go back up because more people are selling on eBay?
I would say so. I have a very simple method on how I work a lot of this. So a lot of people were asking me before we started live here how I go through and find what to sell and how everything works. So it's really simple. I don't go into a store and look for the retros or the foams or, you know, the stuff that just came out that might be there. There may be one pair and everybody else is looking for. I go in and I buy a ton of women's running shoes. To anybody that's listening to this, and I say this to everybody, women's running shoes sells 4 to 1 on any men's basketball shoe. So in the time that one men's basketball shoe will sell, I will sell 4 women's running shoes, and I make the same ROI. It's the same money with a lesser investment. People get all caught up on, oh, we're going to buy this $100 Jordan and sell it for 120, 130. Okay, you made 20 or 30 bucks, but I buy a $25 women's Air Max Tailwind and I sell it for 55. It's the same return, and there's way more availability. So yeah, so when I go to buy something, when I'm sourcing, I look it up on eBay. It's very simple. Go to filter and just push lowest price plus shipping. If I cannot make 35% under that price by at least $1, then I won't even buy it. So I buy the cheapest items out there or just best price that I can flip, and then make sure that my customers get it for the best price and it sells quickly. I turn over inventory very quickly.
How long do you say you wait on a pair of shoes? Or how long are you willing to wait, and how long do you actually wait?
So again, I don't look at this like I work full time and I make good money doing my full-time job. I think we had a similar background because hearing your story from before, you also did, you had a full-time gig and you kind of did this on the side. It's tough to make that leap. I look at this all as an investment. So to be honest, I've never returned anything. If I buy something and it sits, it sits. That's fine. I think the longest time I've waited, there was one type of shoe that I think I had for like 2 months. That was pretty bad, and it was bothering me. I even ended up giving
2 months
one
is
of
not that
them.
long though.
No. But again, when you're the cheapest price online, you look at it every day, and if it's not selling, you're like, what do I do? You don't want to start discounting it down, so you're trying to figure out what it drives you crazy. I literally like to work 24/7, so I will literally look at every listing every day and see how, is there a typo or something I can do with it. So when something doesn't sell, I will focus on that, and it'll just drive me crazy. So that one shoe, and I can remember exactly the shoe too. Like it comes up in mind so easily right now. It was the Hunts Hill KD 8, and I got 7 of them at $40 or something. I sold one instantly, and I was like, this is going to be easy. And then I ended up sitting on, I think it was 4 of those pairs, and I gave one away, and I gave one to my friend for a shoe, and it was just ridiculous.
So do you have a minimum ROI you're looking for, or just any profitable shoe?
So when I first started, again, I didn't know, there was no blueprint to this. Like I did this as an investment. I saved the money for the house. I wasn't able to buy the house because I had no credit. So I started building credit. I had the money, and I was like, what can I do with this? So I just bought pretty much anything. And, I didn't like have a game plan. There was no direct protocol. I now look for about 35% is what I usually average. But there's some shoes I double my money on. There's some shoes I do a little bit less than that. But yeah, that's normally what I look around. I used to just go with whatever was profitable. But I realized with a fixed income, I only had 10 or 20,000, every weekend to go in with to spend. So it's like, it's not, indefinite. I have to make sure I'm buying the best buys, because there's, the shoe here that's profitable, or there's the shoe there that's, it's a better return. So I've started to look at it more as a business, whereas before I was just looking at it as something to do. So trying to get better with that.
It's a good question. We got Ryan in the chat asking, is this 35% net or is it gross?
Yeah, so this would be, this
Let's
is
say $100 pair of
35%.
sneakers.
Right. This is 35% after fees and shipping and everything else. So this is what I would net. I'm thinking I'm saying this correctly.
So on a $100
net.
pair of shoes, you want to get it for 40? Or how do you like, what is there just a basic?
So I'm top rated. So I think my selling fee through eBay is like 8% or something like that. It's 10%, but then they give you 20% back. So on each item, I think it works out to be 8. And then PayPal takes, oh God, what does PayPal takes 0.03 as long as you sell over 20,000 in a month, or I forget how that works out. And then my average shipping cost is $8.50. And I do modify boxes for anybody that, I swear to God, if I posted a video on how I ship shoes, I have so many people ask me that every single day. How do I ship shoes? Why are they getting killed with shipping costs? I used to pay anywhere from $12 to $40 to ship one pair of shoes because I didn't know any better. I thought I was just killing it. And after all that money going out and shipping costs, and you're like, I got to do something. So go to YouTube, type in, I think it's like cheapest way to ship shoes or something like that. And there is a guy that is a reseller, and I can't think of his name, but he has a video and shows you exactly how to modify free USPS priority mailboxes. It takes, a minute or two to actually make the box, but that's what I do. I do that every single day. I get up at like 6 a.m. I ship out, usually on average, I sell about 10 shoes a day. So I get up and I ship out 10 pairs a day, and I make boxes for all 10 pairs, and then I slap labels on them and put them in that little shed that you guys see on Instagram.
And you're shipping all priority?
Yep.
And where do you live?
Perkiomenville. So it's in Pennsylvania.
Okay. So you're on average, so does that mean you're paying more obviously for California, or are you not?
Yes, I definitely am.
Okay. I was going to say, but you're right at an $8 average cost for priority.
Yeah, so I still don't know. There are still probably tons of shipping methods out there that would save you money. And I think also it also depends on like individual sales. And then the type of shoe will be weighted, obviously. Just to save time, because again, I do work a full-time job, and I work about 50 to 55 hours a week doing that. And then this takes a good bit of time. I just ship, priority mail, everything. And yeah, I write down, I have a ledger next to where my printer is, and I literally write down total cost, and I use the calculator and see, if 10 pairs sold, divide that out. And it's usually around $8.50. Sometimes it's less than that. Sometimes it's more. I make it up and down. So it just depends on where it's going. But yeah, there are certain shoes that I've looked at recently that I've sold, and I was like, even getting that because it was a heavier shoe and most of the buyers were in California. I mean, I haven't figured out 100% way to get that narrowed down better, but if anyone has any solutions on shipping, let me know.
What is your average sale price? Do you know?
That's actually a good question. So I tried to warm that up before I was on here, and I wasn't able to go through all of them. To be honest, I actually don't even fully track how much I've spent. I don't know how much profit to a dollar I make. I know that I usually make about 35%. So at the end of the month, I know it's about this number, but I don't keep track of it. So I'm not positive. I would say most of the shoes I sell are about 60 to 70 bucks.
Okay. So just to give you a reference point, when I did the sneaker game, my average sale price is $220.
Right.
So I was the guy doing the waiting in line, paying people to wait, trying to get 3, 4, 5 pairs. We were paying up over $100 a pair to get, and this is including like kids shoes. We were still paying over $100 on average sale price, but it was usually less than 30 days. All that stuff is in and out. As soon as it gets into your store, sometimes it sells the same day, but then you're only picking up 1, 2 pair when you go. Right. And then you have to go to different stores to get 1 or 2. And depending on how much time before you run out of time, that's a different model.
Sure. Yeah. I loved your video. I watched it. It was a couple of days ago where you compared 3 different eBay sellers and you went through different models. And there was one guy, he was just a straight hype beast. Like he just had like 20 items, but they were all for like a couple $1,000s a pair or whatever. And I was just like, dude, this is ridiculous. I have no connection. Like everybody asked me if I have like somebody backdooring me shoes. No. Me and I think I have to shout him out. Ecom Hustle is my guy. Me and Ecom Hustle were literally at Nike today, just as any regular person would be. I mean, you can walk in the store and do exactly what we're doing. It's nobody wants to put the work in. That's like the big thing. Like everybody's like, why do you tell people how to do this? It's not that I don't want you guys to succeed. It's that most people won't do anything with the information. You have to want to work. You have to want to do it. Simple.
No, I mean, I completely agree. It took us 12 hours to get like 5 pairs. That's how hard it was in the Hypebeast game. It was like paying people off. It was like networking with different people. And then in the retail game, like unless you're buying thousands of pairs, you're not getting a hookup. Like it's just gonna be hard. You're just gonna have to go to more than one store to get it. So okay, do you have an ambition to potentially replace your full-time job with this, or is this just letting the money roll?
So essentially right now it's work as hard as I can until I get to a certain number in my bank account. I have a number in mind. It's just keep rolling over these funds again and again and again. I save a certain amount every month and I make a certain amount. Right now I'm averaging about 20,000 or something like that in sales on eBay a month. And 2 months ago it was 17. So it's increasing. And the reason it's increasing is because I'm reinvesting in more product. I'm taking 100% of the profits and putting it into more product. So my listings, my active listings are going up because all I'm doing is putting more product up. So it's, I was averaging 17 with about 80 items active, and now I have over 100 active listings, and now I'm doing 20. So I have no idea. We'll just keep pushing and try to save more money and then go from there. But yeah, eventually I think one big things would be real estate. I want to buy houses, either rent them or something like that, and be able to, mentor somebody to take over my business and my model and introduce them to some people and, hope that everything goes good. I'd like to be able to not work for somebody else. I'd like to be able to work for myself. That would be amazing. So yeah, that is the goal. But for right now, I'm going to work as hard. I don't think that if I did this full time, I could say confidently that I would spend all day doing it. And with me working a full-time job and this, I can confidently say that I am working 100% of the day because I have to do this. And then it only gives me so much time to get this done. So I will literally find something else to do if there is something. So if I had, I can't say that I wouldn't abuse that privilege.
I want to make a quick comment that since you're buying quantity, that's one big advantage over people who are just selling 100% one-offs.
Right.
And also you are selling an item that's scannable, and you can also search the code on eBay. How often have you created a listing from scratch? Probably never.
No, yeah, not really. The only time, so I will say, a pro tip that I can give out, samples. So he's an OG. He already knows what a sample is. So sample pairs are always passed over at the outlets. They're usually about $39.99, and then they're always on clearance. So then, figure that out. It's always a 20% or 30% sale. If you guys follow Reezy Resells, to buy the Raise gift cards. So they're always, Nike gift cards don't get that big of a percentage, but when you're spending the amount of money that I spend, it's $2,000 a month you save. That adds up. So you buy the gift cards, that's 3%, and then you buy those gift cards with some, a cash back card or a credit card or whatever. So you get the cash back and that. So yeah, you can get these shoes for very, very minimal prices. And the best part of a sample is a lot of the samples are something that actually released. This is a shoe that's probably worth $100 to $200. And the good thing is, even if you're in an area where there's tons of people that do this, nobody wants to take a sample out of the box, look up the style and color that's inside the tag. I'll do that. I'm down to outwork anybody that's out there. A lot of people are in there to get in and get out and hit a bunch of different stores looking for a retro. I have found tons of samples that I've sold for double my money on. And so that's one thing that I will definitely say. A lot of people won't do that. Those are the only ones I've made a listing from scratch, because a lot of the samples, they're harder to find. But yeah, that's like the only time I create a listing from scratch. Anything else, I find somebody else's that I think is good. I modify it a little bit and then just go from there.
This is really interesting because I'm trying to look at it sort of as an hourly endeavor. So, for example, I waited in line at Nike Town in downtown Manhattan from when they opened to when they closed, an entire week. So I spent 40 hours just hanging out in line to get the Nike Foamposite, the green one that Nate Robinson did in a dunk contest, right?
Wow. That's amazing. Yeah.
There was 23 pairs. I was like number 4 in line. Nate Robinson signed all of them. I paid 200 and they sold for 4,000, right? If you think about it, it literally took me over 50 hours, because I had to get there before they opened with my wristband, wait in line the entire day. And basically we were just like the clickbait for people, like, why are there so many people waiting in line in the store every day? And the lines that would form because of the 23 of us waiting every single day were insane. And I was just thinking, that's really only $100 an hour.
Yep.
Versus when you go, if you're just going in 2 or 3 hours and buying a bunch of normal shoes, you don't have to wait outside. You don't have to camp. You don't have to bribe anybody. It's a totally different thing. And it didn't even occur to me. It's air conditioned. It didn't occur to me because when I started a sneaker game, I was in Manhattan, and it was just like straight retail.
Sure.
Right. So this is interesting.
And the tax on those shoes. I know in New York there's taxes. See, that's another thing. Somebody asked a good question. I live in PA. There's no sales tax on shoes. That's a 10% advantage from where I live. Right. That's huge. So yeah, I mean, our models were 100% the opposite. I can even say, I mean, if anyone does follow me on there's tons of pictures of my actual collection on there, and I probably have 300-400 pairs personally. I've never camped. I've stood in 5 times. A couple of those were to get shoes to resell, because I thought that was cool, like getting the newest release. But about a year and a half ago, you could realize that everything that was releasing was hitting a Nike outlet a week later for 30% off. So there was no point of waiting in line anymore.
Especially for the and now when I did it, I was in New York City, and that was the only House of Hoops. And now there's a House of Hoops like in every Foot Locker. So it's only hot for, everything is only hot for a minute, literally a week. And then the hype goes away, and you're not capitalizing on that. You're going to kind of get stuck. It's like being stuck with a $220 shoe is different than being stuck with a $60 shoe.
Right. Now, I mean, that's a big thing. A lot of people are like, what happens if it doesn't sell? Do you return it? I mean, you can always return stuff. I personally don't remember. Biggest part of, I think, what separates me from anybody else is I'm all about building relationships. Like, me and this guy I've never met before, but I'm all about, like, every time he posts anything, I'm always like, dude, that's awesome. Like, we just communicate through Instagram. So my relationships with the employees at the store is really, really good. So, I mean, if you're the dude so managers come up to me and are like, welcome to the store every time I come in. If you're the guy that's buying the product and then returning it, they're not going to be so excited to see you in or help you. I've never returned anything. They know that I'm not only taking my time and doing the research, that's 100% of the job. Like, it doesn't matter what you sell. I talk about sneakers because I like sneakers, but again, I only do sneakers because I like sneakers. You can sell anything. You can go on eBay and sell anything. I mean, I don't know what's sitting around here right now, but like, I could sell this cup. I don't know what value it has, but you could sell this cup on eBay if you just do the research, figure out, you can check sold listings, you can check completed listings, you can even analyze listing titles, and you could be like, this is what's making this sell. I just do shoes because I like it. But yeah, I mean, you really got to take the time and do the research. I have Excel sheets now. Before I go into a store, if I know a sale's coming the next day, so Friday, the sale starts. Thursday, I'm going into the store at like 7:50 because I just got off of work. And I go into the store in 10 minutes. I look for everything I can, and I'll take notes. I'll write the style and color down. Then I'll search it. I'll do an ROI calculator on a tab on my computer, and I'll see like, okay, the best money is here. There's quantity of this, you know what I mean? And you really just do the research. Now, the only thing that's scary, and this is something I've come up with recently, because I have so much in inventory, there are tons of times where like if one outlet gets this, it's likely that someone can beat my pricing. So what I listed last week was the cheapest price, but in that week it took me to get it up or post it or whatever, somebody else could post it. So that's something that I do see happening more and more, because I think, like you were saying, a lot of people are going from Amazon to eBay. Maybe that's a thing. Either way, it just means I have to do more work, and I'll figure that out as I get through it.
I want to just make a point on your relationship thing. So when we were doing the shoe game, we were such good friends with all the managers that they have a friends and family additional discount or employee discount that they can use internally. And what they would do is max out their employee discounts for us, and they would take it home, and we would just go to their houses and pick up the stuff and pay them on the side. And you can't do any of that if you return anything.
Right.
So you can return stuff if you're really in a pinch, but that's not the right way to do it. The shoe game is not a short-term thing, because it gets easier as the relationships continue. When I did that video on Pineapple Express, the guy had like
that's who it was.
He had 60 pairs of Yeezys. That's not like, even with unlimited money, you couldn't do that.
Right.
That's years of relationships with every single manager. They know you, they trust you, your money's good, you've never returned anything, you always pay on time, you've never screwed anyone, because word gets out. And you know, it just takes time. The guy probably has been doing it for a while.
Yeah, that's amazing. I mean, there's so many people that have these crazy connections. I'm trying to think of the other guy that's on Instagram all the time posting stuff. The one guy you showed me, Mr. Deadstock, he has so much crazy stuff that he gets. I have never had that many. I've sold tons of Yeezys. I shouldn't say tons. I probably sold 30 or 40 Yeezys in my whole. Again, they're hard to get. They're harder to authenticate. There's tons of people that want to rip people off. You know, it takes a ton of time. They hold a higher premium.
There's more returns.
Right. So I've bought all mine from, you know, from people that were in line. I mean, I basically went to a store that was doing a raffle, and I stood out front and I paid people. But again, that was this last October. And I sat on a lot of those for a while because the commitment, 700-800, whatever it went for shoe, is a lot more. And then, you know, people are a lot more skeptical because there's a lot of mistrust in that market. It wasn't worth it. At the end of the day, I sold them like 2 or 3 months later. And as I said earlier in the video, I don't wait that long to sell shoes, especially something that gets that kind of view or whatever. It didn't have the return. It wasn't worth it. I think I paid like $550 or $600 a pair, and I was thinking they would go for more than they did. They ended up going, I maybe made $100 or $150 on each pair, and it took me 2 months. I mean, I can make that on one running shoe in 1 week. One running shoe that everyone walks past every day. I buy tons of them. I currently have 120 pairs of I think it's the Nike Free Run Flyknit in black and white. There was 120 pairs. That took me 5 days to get. I went in and out because the store only let me get what I could carry, and it took a while. I mean, I took a bunch of people in, so people saw me getting this every single day for 5 days, and everyone else could have gotten them and no one did. And I think I make about $20 per pair on those. So, I mean, think of that. And I've sold almost all of them since I got that, and that was like a couple of weeks ago.
Do you use the Nike factory store or the Nike clearance store, or both, or neither?
So I've been to one Nike clearance store. It was in New York, and I was there twice in a weekend. I was celebrating my birthday, and I think it was like 4 or 5 pairs. That was the only time I've ever been to a Nike clearance store. I always go to Nike factory outlets. There's better ones than others. There are some stores that are really stringent on their rules, their policies, and they don't want to they don't want to make their budgets, or they don't want to have good numbers. I'm not sure what their policies are. But yeah, I mean, yeah, I just go to factory outlets and I put in the work.
Do you sell any other products or just shoes?
Um, let's think. So no, primarily it's just shoes. I actually bought about $1,000 in apparel last month during Friends and Family, because Reezy and I had a bet going that we could spend, I think it was 25,000 that weekend. It's a lot harder to do that when Friends and Family's going on, because again, there's a limitation to how many you can buy per card per day. So it's actually almost better. I actually think it's way better to just have a 30% discount on the clearance, because I can buy way more. I'm looking for, like he said earlier, I look for quantity. I sell a lot of the same thing. To get any shoe for 30% off isn't as good as being able to get, 200-300 shoes for 30% off.
So is your work only during the week?
Nope. Schedule that changes 24/7. I actually just recently moved up in my company, and I am required to even work more. It's a little bit more stressful. But yeah, no, I have no regular schedule. Mondays are usually the only day I get off, so hence that's why I'm on here today, and I figured that would be perfect. That's it. I mean, it's always rotating. I never know what one week is from another.
Do you have like as a guest, do you have how many hours per week are you spending on eBay? Looks like you're pretty efficient.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, it does vary. I am the type of person, like, I know you time everything and you kind of figure out, if I do this, and you have a kind of I think you said alarm set in your phone and stuff like that, which is awesome. I'll just ignore those, and I usually bang things out in bulk. So I'll list 100 items at a time. And I'll do that for one whole day, which will usually be one of my 2 days off. I'll just list that whole day. And then I don't do anything for the rest of the week besides ship out the shoes for the hour or two in the morning. That's about it.
So you're pretty young. You're a good-looking guy. Do you, any girlfriend, or what do you do for fun outside of eBay and work?
So I do have a girlfriend, and I've been with her for about, I think it's going on 4 years now, and she helps me with pretty much everything. I got a dog. I did buy a house 2 years ago now. It's on 4 acres, so that keeps me busy, updating the house, fixing it up. And obviously, I have other aspirations. I don't want to just do shoes. Like I said, I just do shoes because I love shoes. It's easy for me to put the time in. This is a grind. This is not a one day get rich quick thing. This is like building the relationships. This takes a while. So I'm in it for the long haul. So yeah, besides buying shoes and working, I spend time with her and work on the house. And that's it. I mean, even she says I literally don't spend even too much time with her. I literally work almost, if I'm awake, I'm usually working. Like today, I saw her for about 30 minutes when she dropped me off to actually come live video. So yeah, my car is actually at the U-Haul place because I picked up a U-Haul to go get all those shoes this morning. So yeah, I haven't seen her much. So I work and then I find time.
So what about Gary Vee makes it so you're more humble and like you're in the each? Because I mean, I'm the same way. You could do whatever you want with your money.
Yeah.
But like, since you're looking at it more as an investment, why that versus your buddies hitting the bar up or buying nice cars or nice watches?
So it's so funny. And this is, again, I had no plan for this. I love that you just asked that question. That's an amazing question. So here's what happened. So I was trying to buy the house. I grinded for that year. I ate shit, like Gary Vee says, and I didn't do anything. Friends hit me up every single night. Do you want to go do something? Do you want to go do something? Eventually, I would say, because after a while I wouldn't answer, and then I would be like, I'm working all night tonight. I'm working all night again tonight. And they would hit you up every single weekend. So when somebody asks you to hang out and you say no, And then they ask you next week and you say no, and they ask you the week after. It ends up they stop asking. So it was funny because I started working really hard because I was like, I'm going to save money, I'm going to own a house, and then I'll be able to do whatever. I can have parties. Like, that's what I'm thinking in my mind. Like, it's going to be amazing. And while doing that, I kind of disregarded every friend I had. So then when I got the house, there was nobody to hang out with. So it's just work more. So that's that's what happened. I didn't plan on working past getting that goal. It seems like anything else in my life, I set a goal, I attain it, and then and by that point I've had another goal. So it was, I mean, there was a time where I wanted to sell $5,000 a month on eBay, you know, and then that became 10, and then that was 15, and now it's 20, and now my next one's 25. So I don't know if I'll ever be satisfied with where I am. I believe in working hard. You know, I had a family that worked really hard to get me where I am. I got a single parent. You know, we live paycheck to paycheck. She busted her butt for me. So for me not to grind is a slap in her face. You know, I'm here to hustle. So, you know, it was rough, and you know, I have it good now. I could easily relax on what I make at my work, no problem. And it's funny, I think I make more doing the shoes now than I do at work. I mean, you got to think 35% of $20,000 is about $7,000 every month. So, and I make, but I just like to work, man. It's not even about the money. I like to be able to, you know, go to sleep at night thinking, you know, I did everything I could. Sometimes it's hard to go to sleep because you have so much stuff you got to get done.
This is awesome because I'm looking at a lot of my friends now because I'm older than you. I'm like a decade older than you. Looking at my friends that have decided that, you know, the friends I lost complete communication with are definitely decades ahead. It seems like if they were just focused on one type of thing for a decade. You know, there's a person in the chat that says you should eat shit for a decade. I totally agree with that.
Yeah, I do.
If I could go back and do that instead of in my 20s, I had a little bit of the opposite upbringing. I was making so much money that I was just buying everything. I was not thinking about the future. I was like, I can't believe I'm making this much money. You can afford whatever you want. And then, you know, in retrospect, you know, I actually didn't even have, I had a relatively humble growing up also, but like my parents were just different. They always said, we live in America, you can get whatever you want, whenever you want. And I'm not going to teach my kids the same way. Not that I'm ungrateful for the way my parents raised me, but like, I just look at, like, for example, my girlfriend, she's never going to have to worry about money ever because she's frugal. Right. Like, she's never stressed out about money ever. She just lives way below her means. And each time she gets a raise at work, her lifestyle doesn't change.
Right. Which is awesome.
Right. And do you feel like because your income is going to continuously grow? I mean, I mean, you and I don't know this, but typically our income potential is the highest in our 40s.
Wow, I did not.
And we're not even there yet. But as a male in the U.S., you make more money between 40 and 50 generally than any decade in your life. So we're not even there yet. Yeah,
that's absolutely amazing, and I'm looking forward to that. It's the light at the end of the tunnel, I guess. My goal is to be working full-time for myself by 30. Now, I could work full-time for myself right now, but it's another thing Gary Vee says that I like is, you know, save up money to go on the offensive. So like, I have to get to the number I have in my head, and then when I get there to, you know, you only get one chance. That's why, you know, I was 21 grinding. I was 22 grinding. I was 23 grinding. You only get one chance to be able to be acceptable to live in an apartment that's not the nicest. You know, I'm 20. That's why I'm in that apartment. I'm not going out and I don't have any friends because, you know, I'm 20 and I'm saving up for the house. You know, you only have that one time. When you're 30 and you're saying that, it's kind of weird. People are like, what are you doing? So I wasn't going to blow it. I knew that, you know, and when I get to that number, we'll have to see what happens then. You know, maybe let's say I have, you know, that chance and I make a bad decision. I mean, we'll see. but along the way, hopefully I'll learn things. And again, it's all about doing the research and putting the time in. And I believe if you do that every time, you don't have anything to worry about.
Okay, so another question for you. It seems like for me, the best teachers and the best people at e-commerce are the best at researching. So what would you say makes you better at research or better at picking? Because in theory, if you're just a one-man show and you're going out hunting and you're not buying bulk, you should be able to buy a profitable item over 95% of the time.
Sure. Yeah.
So what do you think is your keys? Do you have a to researching a new item?
Sure. That's a very good question. I don't know how you get these questions, man. I don't know if you were like writing these down beforehand or what. So researching, again, I love footwear. I love, design. I love collaboration. I love brand collaboration, not only artist collaboration, musicians, I know it. I know what's popular. And it's easy when you're in it. I mean, I go into the store and I'll, build those relationships with the employees, and they are usually high school or college kids, and they're or that and I'm all about it. I'm all about trends. There's tons of things you can follow on Instagram to become greatest, so what's going to be popular. There's tons of times I don't know what I'm looking at either, so you take your best guess and you go from there. They always say that your gut decision is usually your best one. So I try to do things right on the fly. Like if somebody was like, I'm going to ask you if this shoe is going to sell, and you have 5 minutes to things that were active on eBay in the last month, I would take the 5, because I know that if I spent 30, I would just be second guessing my original decision the whole 30 minutes or the whole extra 25 minutes. In that 5, I don't research. A lot of the shoes I get now, I have to travel to get. Where I went today was over an hour away. So I didn't know what they had. I don't have any inside person there. I wasn't even sure what the percentage off was. I didn't know if it was 20 or 30. I was hoping it would be 30. It worked out. But yeah, when I got there, I was on the fly. They handed me shoes and I said yes or I said no. And if that wasn't the thing, then we put it back on the wall and we kept it pushing. But yeah, I guess I get lucky most of the time.
Okay, so there's been a couple of questions in the chat about authenticity claims.
Yeah,
that happened to me when I sold. I sold just under 4,000 pairs when I did it with my buddy, and we had an authenticity claim pretty regularly. The receipts from all the Nike outlets and sneaker shops we went to were sufficient. We were pretty good about changing in the PDFs, and just when eBay asks us a question, we would just send it over. And we always took real pictures like you do.
Yeah.
I think that also helped a lot. But what do you do or have you been questioned, and what do you do?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I think even if you went on my eBay store page right now and looked at my feedback, I think there is a negative feedback that said the item was fake. I responded immediately and told them that, I could send them the receipts for the product and everything. You have tons of people that are going to say items are fake. I don't know if it's buyer's remorse or what it is. I've never had a problem at a Nike store. Me and 10K have been in, I mean, I know I'm young, but I've been doing shoes and, into shoes since I was very young. So you can tell what is a real and isn't real with most of the shoes that I'm buying. I'm not out there buying Yeezys where it takes a microscope to figure out, is the insole seams right or stuff like that. So, I mean, most of the stuff I'm buying, people don't even care about. That's why I'm able to go in there. It wasn't until I realized that, I didn't have the time that everybody else has. There are tons of people that do this full time in my area, and they would go in before me because that's their job. They go in there and they get things done. I would be working and have to go right after work and have half of the time that they did. So I would walk through and every Jordan would be gone. And I would just be like, well, I guess I'm going home. No, I would spend a couple more minutes and I'd be like, okay, well, here's all these running shoes that nobody's touching. What's up with them? And then I saw there's 30 of them and they all sell for $15 profit per. So I'm like, wait a second. This is easy. and the store doesn't care about them. I mean, the only restrictions really with stores is on retros. They want each person to have a chance to walk into their store and get excited that there's a retro on their shelf. That's why they limit you so much. But with running shoes, it's or stuff that they clearance, and you can tell by stickers what is clearance and what isn't. I actually posted some in my story one time that talked about stickers, which was really helpful, and maybe we can go over that too. But yeah, if there's something that's clearance, they're not moving it, which means they clearanced it so that way they could move it to get new product in that will move. So I am helping their store by getting rid of the stuff that they can't sell. They can't sell it, they give it to me, and I do. And I make crumbs on it. Like similar, my buddy refers to me as the guy in what's the movie War Dogs with Jonah Hill, how they make the crumbs on the guns or whatever it is. I am the dogs of Nike. I literally buy cheap Nike shoes and make a very small percentage, but I just do it consistently in high volumes. That's it.
I just want to make one more comment on the authenticity thing. When you sell really high-end sneakers, like at our $220 price point, it was more than once out of every 100 where people would say it was fake to get a discount or to get a free return and rent it. They would wear it to an event, return it. And that happens when you sell expensive, high-end, high-profile sneakers. And that's one of the reasons why I didn't enter that game again.
Sure.
When my buddy that was bankrolling me left, I was like, nope, I don't have the capital to absorb $900 losses if people wear Yeezys and then they just return them. And what eBay is going to side with them every time.
Yeah.
So just
which is crazy.
Which is great. So as far as that goes, on the cheaper pairs, you still need to be careful on authenticity. Take real photos. That's not going to prevent you from getting an authenticity claim, but usually from my experience, when I've talked to other shoe sellers, when you take real pictures, they know you have it.
Yeah. And it's funny. I've seen actually people send me stuff because my store is a Facebook page and the Instagram page. I've seen people send me stuff. People actually steal my pictures that I take. I mean, I take them on a roll top desk, which is like the background. There's no like fancy lighting or anything like that. It's a smartphone. And I've seen it where people have, and I always kind of tags the photo so people know like this is the person you're getting. But it's funny because I've seen like people post things on Craigslist with my pictures trying to sell a similar item or something like that. And it's funny. I mean, you don't know where those pictures came. I mean, people can steal you know, it's great that now like we can sell things literally sitting on our couch and people can check our feedback and see that we have done this before and they feel safe. And I think that's awesome. Like back in the day, people weren't able to do this. So like the fact that there's so many people out there that would rather go like this on their phone than like actually work on it, it's crazy to me. Like I would much rather create content than consume it. And it's awesome.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And so Angel is asking if you just legit go in there and scan them. So let's see how you answer, and I'll answer after you.
To be honest with you, I've never scanned a shoe. eBay's scanner sucks. I never do it. I literally go in and type the style and color, which is a 6-digit number, and then followed by a 3-digit number. That number identifies any product that Nike sells. There are those numbers. Those are product identifiers, not the UPC. This is the style and color. There's a product identifier for Converse. There's one for Vans, Reebok. It's an easy way to see that shoe. I actually sit there and type each single one. I sell tons of shoes and I do it with every single one of them.
Let's talk. I do scan them.
Nice.
I scan every single pair first so it doesn't show up, and I'll type in the 9-digit code. And I have never had this is what happens when I talk to a manager. When I say I'm a reseller, they'll say, okay, great. Now show me the non-retro stuff. Because the normal and I'm also older now.
Right.
The younger reseller usually is going in to buy 1 or 2 pair. The older guys, they know they can clear the shelf and they can put a higher margin product in that same spot.
Yep.
So they don't mind letting you. I mean, I haven't had any issues with letting people know that I'm a reseller. I usually get more opportunities. Do managers ever? I mean, do they assume you're reselling if you buy freaking 20 pairs?
I mean, all the stores I go to, I'm very well known at. I don't go too much outside of my circle. I know I've only professionally, like I've had a business license for almost a year. But I haven't been doing this for a year. I've been doing this 4 years. I don't know. It's time. I mean, everybody pretty much knows who I am. I literally could walk in one store and I think every single employee that's hired there knows me by first name and has dealt with me. And it's funny because like I'm cool with all of them.
Do
So
they ever
yeah,
present you other? Do they present you other stuff?
yeah, of course. And
Yeah.
that's what separates a good store. And I think, you
Mhm.
know, as we notice e-com is, I mean, you and me make a lot of money. You just quit your full-time job to do e-com. I mean, you'll notice like e-com is getting more and more and more and more. People aren't going to these stores as much as they did. These stores have to do more. So like, I think a good manager should come out and show me every single product that I have time to see, ready to increase their store's numbers and they want to hustle, you know, they want to get promoted or they want to get a show me that you're working. There's too many people that want to stand around at work and not do anything. It's like, okay, well, yeah, if I walk in a store and you know who I am, let's see what you got. I have one manager that does that. You know, he'll do that until his, and that's my favorite store to go to. I did hear something you were talking about scanning. Me and Ecom Hustle were talking earlier today, and he had said that he went to a store in New Jersey, and when he went to scan a shoe, they told him it was private property and that they could not allow him to be in the store scanning items. I thought
Hmm.
that was absolutely amazing. There are stores that are really, really aggressive towards resellers and will try to like stop them from doing it in any way, shape, or form, which I have no idea why that makes any sense. But yeah, he actually got yelled at for scanning a shoe, and that's not why I don't scan shoes. Mine just has never worked. I mean, maybe I would keep scanning them. It saves way more time. But yeah, I did hear that, and I thought that was kind of interesting.
The only store I've been asked not to scan it is Nordstrom.
Oh God.
And I think it's because, and they just told me, we would rather you not scan because that's behavior that shoplifters do. They come in, they
Okay.
scan, they canvas the whole store, which is what
Mhm.
you're doing, but we don't know you're not shoplifting. But like when if you scan all the items in the store, you can determine everything, right? In theory, you could determine the ones that you'd want to shoplift first. So, but at a Nike store, I have never had that issue. They're like, come scan these ones too.
Right. Yeah.
I haven't had that issue.
Yeah. Most of the stores I've ever been at, they are all about it. But yeah, there are certain stores that are a little bit weird about resellers, but I've never seen anyone not be allowed to scan. But again, I wasn't with him when this happened. I just thought it was super interesting that he had told me about that.
Do the employees ever hit you up to buy the stuff that they have?
Yep. Yeah, and that
Yeah,
is
that's
so
another thing.
I don't buy any used shoes. Like I have tons of people that send me a message probably once a day saying, you know, I have this shoe. What do you want to pay for it? I'm really not interested. It takes a lot of time to make sure that you're legit and that I should be working with you and that this is a, you know, a legit pair of shoes. The only used shoes that I buy and sell are from Nike employees because I'm building that relationship. I'm helping
Mm.
them out. That is the only person I buy used shoes and sell them from. It's just because most of these kids are in college. I actually, you know what's even crazier? I actually started a savings account for a kid that works at Nike. He was going into college and he was talking about, you know, he didn't have any money, yada, yada, yada. And he had some shoes. I sold them for him. And I was like, look, I'll hold the money for you for a couple of months. That way you can use it for your tuition, I think it was, or maybe it was either his tuition or to move into to school. There was something he needed. I forget what it was. And he let me hold on to his money for 1 month. And I ended up helping him pay, I think it was like a quarter of his tuition. It ended up being a couple $1,000 or something like that. But like I'll pretty much, you know, I'm all about doing the right thing. There's tons of people that have helped me out in life, and you know, you got to give back. I think that, you know, karma will help you out at the end anyway. So I need as much good karma as I can get.
That's amazing. Well, we're getting pretty close to our hour. Let's see if there's any other questions you guys have for Kevin. Put them in the chat right now, and we'll ask a way to see if we can make the best of our time together. Let's see if anybody
Kevin,
has any questions for you. While we're waiting, do you want to go over the sticker system?
Yeah, that's a good one. So stickers at clearance stores or at outlet stores. So I think if they're blue, that doesn't mean anything. So the two colors that you're looking for are green and orange. Orange usually ends in 97. That's clearanced, and green is your favorite. That's called green dollars. So green dollars means that each store, depending on how busy they are and how good they're doing, is given an allocation of money. It's a certain amount, depending again on their traffic and what they do, to use to discount products. So management will strategically use these green dollars to discount items to make them move quicker. So if they have one running shoe that they have, I don't know, 30, let's say 50 for easy math left, and they have a shipment coming in a couple of days of 100 shoes that are going to be very, very popular, they can use $500 of those green dollars to discount each pair down a certain amount of money, and that is per store. So when you see a green dollar, you know that nobody else usually is going to get the same price as you because that store specific. So if you see a green sticker, that's gold. Now, I would still say, obviously, do the research and look it up, but that's a trigger. A lot of people, I see tons of people that are looking at clearance walls, which are insanely packed full of stuff anymore. And I never know what they're looking for. When I go through a clearance wall, and that's going to jump out to me. I mean, I know this is clearance, so I know this is going to be a good price. And if it's a green sticker, then I know it's green dollar, and I know that's going to be a good price. At the first Tuesday of every month, stores do their markdowns. So at the first Tuesday of every month, big resellers, I'm talking guys that do this full time, probably way bigger than me, I have no idea. They are in there first Tuesday of the month. Another pro tip, I'm giving you guys everything right now. Another pro tip is after 40 shoes left, they get clearanced. Sam is strategy selling or strategy buying. I don't know what you would consider it, but I'll go in and I'll see that it's a 2-row, which is usually about 30 pairs. And I'll say to an employee, can you scan this? And about how many do you have? If he says he has 55, I know that if I buy 15, the other 40 are going to go on clearance. And that weekend, I already know there's going to be a sale. So now I can calculate how much those other 40 will be. And then I just have to make sure I'm in the store at the right time to get those shoes. So that's a strategy. And you have to know these things to be able to do that. But, you know, after doing this for a while, you learn a few. Are you writing this down?
This is like the most amazing thing ever. I can't forget this.
Oh my God, that's so funny.
So you really got to take notes. And I'll tell you this: every great reseller I have that I know has one of these.
Yeah, they have a tip. Yeah,
they're writing down the stuff.
I gotta go back and watch some of these videos and see who else is going to give me some tips. It's cool though, because I think I'm one of the first people that, besides yourself, that actually sells shoes on here. So that's cool.
Wow, that makes me so happy.
Yeah, so I know you. I should have thought about that because I knew you would be all about that.
So I'm gonna ask one last question, and then we'll be respectful of your time. The last question is: somebody's brand new, never sold a single sneaker. They want to jump in to the sneaker game. You give 2 tips. I'll give 2 tips on how to get started from scratch.
Okay. First tip is just start doing it. This is my tips, and don't take this away from me. I know that's not really a tip. First tip, just start doing it. I promise you, when I started doing this, I sold shoes for 2 or 3 months and didn't make any money because I loved it. I wanted it so bad. I jumped right in. I had no idea what I was doing, and I learned lessons. When you're playing with your money, and yeah, I mean, if you lose $10 on a shoe, it's not a big deal. I'm sure that $10 lesson will be worth a lot to you because you'll never forget what you messed up on. When it was the shipping, I knew that, you know, shipping shouldn't be $30 to ship a shoe, but that made me realize to look into other shipping methods, and that's now saved me, I don't know, thousands of dollars. I don't know how many shoes that I've saved money on. My second tip, oh man, these are good questions. So first is just get in there and do it. Second is going to be to go in there, scan them, type in the style and color, whatever you want to do. Call the store the morning, Thursday morning, Friday morning, because sometimes they start the sales early and ask them if there's a sale. Make sure you know your stuff, know what's going to sell, know what's popular, know what colors are best. You can actually go into eBay and under the sourcing improvements, I think it is, or something like that, they will tell you average sales prices for certain types of shoes. I have a notebook that I literally wrote this stuff down. Not that I'm going to look at it again, but if you write it, you'll probably remember it better. I literally went through and was like, this is going to help me in the future. So I wrote down what colors of a running shoe would sell. This color is going to be better than this color. And for some reason, blue doesn't sell very well with women. So just if that's another tip you guys want to keep, I don't know why that is either. But yeah, do your research.
Bombs, guys.
Do your research and just jump into it. You're not gonna know every angle. It's gonna be sketchy. It's gonna be hard. Just start doing it. I want to hear your tips, though. Go ahead.
All right, cool. I got 2 tips for you. The first off is the money that you use to start the shoe game, you can't need it to pay rent or need that money. It's got to be straight up. You can lose it because you don't know what you're doing. That's the kind of money you should be working with when you first start the shoe game, because you're definitely going to make mistakes when you start. Even now, I mean, we're going to make some purchases that maybe don't move quickly or are really low profit. So you need some extra money. And then the second tip is go to the retail options for Nike and the outlet. Do both. Go to Foot Locker in the mall and look at what everything is selling for. Ask the people buying shoes for a friend, what's popular, what sells well, what doesn't sell well, what kind of gift would he like. They'll ask you questions like, what is his style? You get to know that culture first, then go to the outlet. And if you do it a couple months or a couple weeks later, you'll see some of those same shoes actually roll through that didn't sell well. And that'll boost your knowledge because you can see what people pay full price for it.
Yep.
And then you get an idea. Like if these are selling for $100 and then you see them for $30 at the outlet, probably going to be safe even without looking at your phone.
Yep. Yep. No, it's huge.
All right, guys. Thank you everyone for coming. If you have any questions, check out the Clutch Swag on Instagram, and he's dropping knowledge everywhere there. He's totally open to questions. You can leave something in the comment section. I'm going to let Kevin do his own sign off, but thank you everybody for coming. And any final thoughts? Where can people find you?
Oh yeah, of course. So to be honest, the main place to get a hold of me is going to be on Instagram. So I think it was 22 people followed us since we started this live video. So that's awesome. Shout out to everybody that followed. I do answer any questions. I don't charge to answer questions. I might not answer them right away, but I will definitely get back to you. I'm interested in making sure, everybody can gain by just selling stuff. It doesn't have to be sneakers. I mean, again, it can be anything, whatever you're interested in. I actually suggest that you get started in something you're interested in because it'll make the work go easier, and it is work. Don't think it's easy. There's tons of people that just want to make money quick. This isn't that. This isn't the get rich quick scheme. I really appreciate you guys, taking the time and asking the questions. I appreciate 10K on the Bay for having me, talking about something I'm super interested in. And I hope we do another one of these, man. This was cool. I want to do more of these.
I think it's going to be a popular segment, so maybe we can create something regular. Cool. And you need to get on YouTube as well.
Yes, I do. That's coming. So I actually have footage filmed. It's tough because I'm the only one that works for my business. So to be able to film, upload content, and edit content is a little bit tough, especially when I'm at the store doing what I do. Again, I type in all these things by hand. So dealing with 200 shoes at a time in 2 hours or 3 hours and making sure nothing goes wrong, it's tough to be holding the camera at the same time. But yeah, I do have content. I am going to be posting it. So I just wanted to wait to do this video before I did anything of my own. So okay, now you guys know.
We'll have you back on once you have it up so I can drive people there.
All right, perfect. That's awesome.
All right, Kevin, thank you so much.